3, 2, 1. Hey, so this is Hikosaemon here. Welcome once again. Every week, I record this live at 11 p.m. on Sundays, but of course I release this. This is the compressed 5-minute version of the best news of the week and interesting topics about Japan that I picked up, which goes live every Monday. There is a Japanese version also, which I released at the same time, which I try to subtitle. I think the last one I didn't subtitle quickly, but I'll subtitle it more quickly this week. But a little 5-minute summary of the most interesting stuff on the web. So without further ado, let me get into it. Boom. So these are the chosen video topics. As you already know, and in the links under the video, you can go and check out all the topics that I recommend, from which I save in different Flipboard magazines to make them more readable and nice, or more readable and nice. But the first one I've got here is, let's have a look at what we've got for the last week. The first one is a fantastic article which I just read before the show, which was recommended to me by Lacey. And it is an article on how different cultures perceive time. I think it's very insightful. It does have a special big section on Japan and how Japan perceives things. I'm going to talk about this at length after I've recorded the short version of the show. But it is interesting. It talks about how Americans, as opposed to Germans, as opposed to Italians, as opposed to Chinese or Thai or Japanese perceive time. And, you know, where it might be excusable to be late, or, you know, like with Japanese, it talks about the emphasis on ritual and formality in Japanese, which is absolutely true. And as a Protestant work ethic linear time person, I myself find it frustrating. I find little tricks for cutting through it because I'm so used to it. But indeed, the advice that it gives, that you have to go through these sort of motions for Japan, I agree with. I'd put it slightly different. They're very academic about it. My advice is just don't fuck it up, because the small things are really, really important in Japan, and they can derail everything more than you can realize, and that's really cool. It's very thought-provoking. I back up the insights given on the Japanese side. As much as I hate cultural generalism, or I immediately start saying reject, you know, say it's wrong, but I think there's some validity to it, and I think it's really interesting. Another interesting article here I picked up, this is from Crocker, but it's talking about the newest garu trend, which is neo-gals, which is basically doing up here. Well, they've always been, rather than the kind of the dark tan and white hair and stuff like that and white makeup, there's this new kind of techno bleached hair kind of gal. I don't know, there are some pretty good looking examples of them there. Apparently Caroline knows one or two of the people who are in the photos that I featured here. Apparently that's going to be the next gal thing, which, like it or not, is coming. Suicide. There's been a few articles about suicide this week, which I'll come. Yeah, there's been a drop in suicides, which is always good. But of course, Japan still has a high rate. I think it's actually, there's so much emphasis on Japan and where it is. But of course, as you can see, Japan doesn't have the highest suicide rate, and this is important to understand. In fact, my own country, New Zealand, has a higher youth suicide rate than Japan does. However, its suicide rate is high. It is related mainly to health problems, which is a shame, and it's something which I guess with the aging society is going to get worse. And it ties into the big overall demographic issues and challenges that Japan has, and so it's a topic that everyone follows. I'm going to come back a bit. So yeah, and Tofugu picks up this topic as well, and gives some good topics about things to bear in mind when talking about suicide in Japan. Fantastic list here. Not enough time to go through it on a 5-minute video, but I'm going to quickly cover it. Japan's 30 best travel destinations, which apparently TripAdvisor has taken a survey to find out which places people like the best. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the top 10 are dominated by locations in Kyoto. As you can see, Hiroshima also makes and not the war shrine, but actually Miyajima Island, which I visited in 1990, and it is awesome and highly recommended. I think it's fairly spot on. It brings home to me as well that I haven't traveled enough in Japan myself. Definitely Kyoto dominates. What is that? It's a robot. Okay, which I haven't been to. I'm sorry, that caught my attention. Lots of stuff in Tokyo, of course, because Tokyo is awesome, and lots of places I still haven't been to. But a fantastic list of the best 30 places to go to in Japan, recommended by the travelers. So if you're planning a trip to Japan, here's a great place to look at. Some tech stuff I find super interesting. Of course, the Apple wearable watch is coming out, and it looks like it's going to have all indications are by the iOS 8. Stuff is that it's going to have a wraparound screen of some sort, which I think is kind of cool. And if it can really track on an ongoing basis something like pulse, depending on how many health metrics it can track at the same time, chances are I'm going to be shelling out for a new iPhone for this watch. I'm probably going to get it. I'm looking at these things lately, and I'm probably going to get a GM1 camera this year. So I've got some expensive shopping ahead that I have to prepare the ground for. SoftBank's released a robot. For some reason they got a French robot, not a Japanese one, but I don't know. I don't really know what you do with it at the moment, but I think that's Son trying to be innovative and help. The guy's been pretty good at picking trends, so it's probably a good sign. A little bit of political news that it looks like Maihara, who's a high flyer in the Democrat Party, which has just been bombing lately, it looks like he's going to come out and he's going to be joining up with the new entity that Hashimoto's Ishin-no-kai, the Japan Restoration Party, is probably going to make. So the opposition, which is a shambles right now in Japan, is looking to reform into a couple of new shapes. One into a far-right party with Tamogami and Ishihara, that's probably going to go nowhere. And another one formed by Democrat People's, Your Party, and Ishin-no-kai people. And it's going to be interesting if they do that right, because it's hopeless at the moment. I mean, Abe's going to have a cakewalk in the next election. And frankly, I think he's doing an okay job, actually. Some Japanese stuff, increase in power harassment cases. Although the birth rate has increased to the highest level in 20 years, Japan still had the greatest number of deaths in 20 years. More people than ever on social welfare. Of course, that's going to go up again with the more people, on pensions and so on. So again, it makes you think. For me having a son, it's something for the future. It's hard to really see Japan's future as being that bright for kids, and I don't know. I hope something can be done about that. A fantastic video here about Japanese really like. It's a kind of a meme in Japanese films, where the old granddad flips out and literally flips over the coffee table, the chabudai. It's an expression of unleashing anger, and there's a great multi-cut which I've got a link to here of from a bunch of different movies, Western and Japanese, of flipping over tables, which is pretty cool. Yeah, a great article again by Shisaku bringing up a point which I raised 2 months ago, that Abe, for all of his reputation of being an extreme right-winger, he's actually got a track record of being one of the most liberal PMs. He's got a pretty strong liberal track record as well, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. Go and check that out in my flipboards. Go and read all the articles yourself. I think they're really cool. Lots of cool stuff happening in Japan at the moment. Lots of stuff to look forward to. And yeah, look out for the crazy weather and the rain. That's more than the 5 minutes I wanted, but there's a lot to talk about. So that is the end of that 5 minutes. I'm going to record another Japanese one, which is also going to go live on Friday. And come and join me and talk about these live on Sunday, every Sunday at 11 p.m. And I will see you soon. Peace. Bye.